Alright, hello everyone. This is going to be our last unit that we're going to study in this course. After this, we're just fully onto revision. What this unit's called is Graphs of Practical Situations. And basically what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at three different types of graphs. The first one today is going to be exponential functions. And the way this unit is going to work is we're going to look at the graph and learn about some of the features of the different types of graphs. And then after that, we'll do a lesson where we'll apply the type of graph to practical situations. All right. The good thing for you guys is that you don't really need to know much about how an exponential function works, but you need to be able to identify the features of an exponential function. Okay, so this is important. This is basically what an exponential function is. It's a graph that looks either like this, y equals a to the power of x, or y equals a to the power of minus x, where a is a constant that's just any number bigger than 0. Alright? And this is kind of what they look like. I think it's probably good if you guys pause the video and just write down everything that's on this slide. It's showing you essentially the general form of an exponential function. When you have sort of the most basic exponential function, you get a ever-increasing curve going up and up and up to the right. If the power of x was negative, you would just flip the direction. And then whatever happens here in this scenario, you just basically reverse the directions when you have numbers between 0 and 1. That's essentially what that says. And it's probably also good to note this line here. If a is 1, then the graph will just be a flat line. It's kind of a special case. Basically everything that's on this slide you also need to write down, because it's very common in the kinds of questions that you're going to be asked. You will often be asked to recall one of these features. Something like this. This first point would be a classic thing to put in a question. The fact that the graph can never be below the x-axis because they're always going to be positive. Or something like this. The x-axis is an asymptote. What asymptote means is basically the line approaches the x-axis, but it never actually touches the x-axis. The result of any equation like this is never 0. So yeah, I'll get you guys pause the video if you need to. Write all that stuff down. And let's look at the questions. Basically, the kinds of questions that you're going to get in this unit, you're going to fall into two categories. You're going to have to draw a graph, or you're going to have to recall one of these points about the graph. So let's go ahead and look at how we graph it. And this is how we're always going to graph it, okay? We're always going to do a table of values, like this. There's not really a shortcut. When we did simultaneous equations, you might remember we looked at some shortcut ways that we can draw graphs. Those don't really exist here, especially for exponential functions. You kind of just have to use a table of values. So that's what we're going to do. We're just put this into our calculator, replacing the x with all of these numbers, and we put the results in here. I've already done these, so I'm just going to fill it in. Oops, sorry, that's a 3. So it'll look something like that. And then you just fill the points in on your graph. At 0, we're at 1. 1, we're at 3. 2, we're at 9. And -1, we're at about a third. And then you just join your points up. Looking something like that. And that's how we draw the graph. It's relatively straightforward. The only part that might give you some difficulty is making sure that you put everything into your calculator correctly. Let's just look quickly at another example. We'll see what difference it makes if we have negative x here instead of positive x. And basically all it does is reverses the values. And we draw it in the exact same way. And then fill in the line. Right, so yeah, the questions that you guys are going to have to do, I've got you to do all the questions, but don't worry. Every lesson in this unit, I've asked you to do all the questions, but there's only 5 or 6 at most in every chapter. So all the questions are going to be one of two things. They're going to be either this, drawing the graph, or you're going to have to come back to this page that you've written down, and you'll be asked about one of these features, right? So yeah, just let me know if you need any help. Thanks, guys.